Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of HR Tech Chat. With us today, we have Josep Elias, who is the Chief Strategy Officer at CloudPay. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Brent. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh, yeah, I'm the pleasure's all ours, really. We at 360 Insights, we've been having a few conversations with you over the course of the past few months, and we've really touched on a lot of really interesting things around global payroll, which is what CloudPay does in the cloud, just as the name suggests. And today, I think we're going to take some time to discuss a new product that you folks have launched, which is very innovative and very helpful to global organizations. Excuse me. It's called CloudPay Now. But before we get to that, really looking forward to discussing it as a on-demand pay for the global scene, so to speak. But what I'd like to kind of delve into first is, your career is very interesting. And you joined CloudPay around about 3 years ago, and I'm just curious. That was following a successful career in the payroll industry, and I guess my question is, what compelled you? What was your rationale to inspired you to come to CloudPay?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I promised myself when I left ADP after 15 years that I'll do anything but working on the payroll space. And so look, my promises don't stand long, as you can see, at least those that I do to myself. Well, I found a company at the time that was having an amazing product, but not yet probably recognized by the market, or not probably targeting the right market segment within the global payroll space, because was not aligned the size and the growth of the company with the product and technology that the company was having at the time. Obviously within those 3 years, this has become even better, and I think we have been able to staff the company with an amazing team that has been definitely changing, turning around all this situation, and now we've been winning several awards on innovation for the last couple of years, and this is being rewarded by the market as well with the phenomenal growth that we are experiencing nowadays.
Excellent. From the outside looking in, it looks like you definitely joined the right place. CloudPay has been in global payments and payroll for I did not know this, about 2 decades, which is very impressive. Yeah.
I was going to tell you as well that probably what's very attractive to me of the company was the entrepreneurial atmosphere that you can breathe at CloudPay. Starting from Paul, our CEO, to the entire organization is very innovative. No one will ever tell you no to test, to try something. No, there's never a stupid idea to try out, and this is something that it was very, very attractive to me.
Oh, you mentioned the entrepreneurial attitude, and I'll tell you, from our very first conversations with CloudPay, I definitely felt that, saw that, heard that from the start. Very much a startup atmosphere, and just exudes startup and innovation. Yeah, so I can see that. It makes total sense to me. Getting into CloudPay Now, which is the new product, which is on-demand pay. What was the rationale? What drove CloudPay after being in business for 2 decades successfully and delivering cloud-based global payroll? What was the rationale to move into on-demand pay for the global payroll market? What was the thinking there?
Well, I'm not gonna sound too, I was gonna say, emotional into this, because it's very touchy for me. We started this idea because we think that is a a pandemic problem. Nowadays, that pandemic is sort of a very fashionable word, unfortunately.
Mm.
I don't know if you're aware, but we have 3.2 billion people working in today's world. That's the workforce. The World Bank is saying that 70% of these 3.2 billion people is suffering from financial stress. And for us, it was shocking when we realized that the issue was similar to the starving issue we were having in some third countries in the world, which is not that they don't have food, is that the food is not getting into the right place at the right time. And it's happening similarly today with the financials of people like us. You and I, today, we're living out of savings, meaning you get your salary, you pay, you save the rest, and you use these savings to go paying during the month while you get paid again, if it's every other week or weekly or which is the vast majority of the world monthly. So we wanted to do something to improve employees' quality of life, to help employers improve the quality of life of their employees beyond, some of the benefits that we all know about probably today, like, pension schemes or healthcare or whatsoever, we definitely are massively needed. But this is something that is affecting not just a portion, it's just all of us somehow.
I mean, the research out there, I was kind of just grazing Google, so to speak, right? Taking a look the other day, and the research definitely supports what you're saying. I mean, I think it was I actually have it written down here. Hold on one second. 69%, and I think it was from 2020. The American Payroll Association.
Makes this even worse, right? I mean, the amount of people who's asking for a pay loan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you can see why, because that 69% number from the American payroll, that's a number of people. I think it's just in North America, but I'm sure that's similar elsewhere, that they would experience significant financial stress if their paycheck were delayed by a week. And that's across the board. It's sort of, the word's escaping me, but it's not just wage earners and low entry level people. There's another stat out there that I found, and I don't know when we post this, I'll put in the introduction, but there's 78% of the workforce lives paycheck to paycheck, and also
on top of this, right? And that might be the data you might be looking for is 30% of these people is earning over 100K.
Yes, so that was the number I was looking for. Yeah,
exactly. It's not just a blue collar issue, so to speak. I mean, it's something that impacts everybody. But for me, I mean, I didn't know this until yesterday. I was absolutely shocked to hear a testimonial that was explaining in Arkansas was going to a payday loan, and will ask for $300. The cost of those $300 was $900.
Wow.
So it's massive. Like and this is just becoming worse because of the brutal capitalism that we live in, the unexpected events like a COVID-19 pandemic or unexpected. We have more goods, we have more unexpected fixtures to the goods that we have. What is harder to plan?
The payday loans, not to get too editorial here, but I'd love to see the payday loan industry just go away. Maybe there's a few of them that are probably are on the
I personally am not against them, but definitely I am pro the people that how can I help those people who are suffering from not having any other choice than getting those very, very expensive, I would say, financial services. It is, for me, conceptually, being able to provide the employee what is entitled or she's entitled to have when they need it, it's going to be a right. It's not going to be a benefit anymore. It's going to be a right. The moment you and I will be on a device, smart device, and say, now it's when I want to use my earned wages to pay my grocery or to pay my doctor, to pay whatever, there's no way back, because that improves your saving ability. That improves the cash flow you have in your domestic finance. That improves overall economy because you move in money faster and more frequently, which overall improves the economic drivers. So it is like a win to win to win to win sort of effect happening all over the place. So it is something that's going to happen.
You know what's interesting about this is it's almost the democratization of, I know that's an overused word, but I think it feels like the democratization of pay. I mean, and we've talked about this previously, but just to kind of bring it to the surface here, you know, a lot of sort of our conventions around pay have been dictated by, you know, logistics, and it's not really been anybody, there's nobody sitting at the top saying, we're going to only pay people once per month or once every week or every 2 weeks. And, you know, it's because of the systems that have been in place. That's what the systems have been able to, the extent to which the systems have been able to facilitate, right? So now we've gotten to this point where technology makes it possible for people to be paid at any time. And that is a little bit more than technology. There's other factors at play as well, but the confluence of these factors have made it possible for people to be paid at any time. And when you think about it, going back to what you were saying, and this was what I wanted to tie in, is, you know, that it's a right? It's going to become a right, a individual's right. And that's absolutely the case. You know, it's always been an individual's right. It's just that the logistics have finally caught up to being able to make that right a reality. It's very, very interesting. I mean, I don't know.
It changes dynamics, I think, as well. No, it changes the dynamic of global. Let me start maybe by global economy. No, let's try to go and drill down very quickly here. Where today there is $1 trillion, with $1 trillion that are owned by employers to employees in any given day. This is economy, this is money that is not into play on today's world, right? So that will help the global economy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? I think everybody will agree on that. On top of this, then if you go into the US, it's barely 300 billion, that are stocks. So this is money that the employer is holding on behalf of the employees without any benefit from the employee, but the opposite.
Yeah.
So when you look at today's market and what is happening is, well, the first step is being, well, those are sophisticated with technology. They have found a way to change payday loans to digital lenders, right? This is faster, cleaner, and way cheaper than pay loans. But people start questioning themselves, and also the entities that are supporting the governments that will need to regulate all this space one day as well, to say, well, hold on, why, and this is the fundamental question for us, no? Why the employee would pay for something that is yours?
They earn, I mean, yeah.
Are you serious? I mean, I'm sorry. Sometimes I think about it. I laugh not to cry. Say, this seems like not serious at this stage, right? Like, okay, this is my money. Technology enables me to have access to it. Okay, and I understand there might be services around this which might have a cost that might be then sponsored by the employer or not. That those are different models. We definitely support the sponsorship from the employer, because there are a lot of benefits as well, as I'm going to tell you, for the employer. And then you go there, and I can use this channel for many other things. No, I'm hearing also nowadays a lot of voices saying, oh, but you know, people might make a misuse of that, or they might, if someone is a gambler, having access to the money will make him gamble more. Well, first of all, I don't know if this is true. Secondly, today, if this is the issue, is doing gambling with a payday loan, which is definitely worse than withdraw money.
Right.
Right. And third, well, I have a device and a channel that is attractive and critical for this person where I can have influence. And I mean, on well-being, positive influence, no, mentally, financially, physically, and so on top of what we can, I mean, we offer, for instance, to our customers as well as a benefit to use that channel to communicate directly with those with the employees. I mean, between you and me, I hope my HR department is not going to look at that, but the last emails you read in the week are those, company announcements, HR announcement, all those sort of things, because we all up to our eyebrows on how many emails we need to deal with on a daily basis. So, we also bring in the opportunity to be innovative to our customers, using the technology to share stuff with their employees on a much more appropriate channel, like could be a mobile device.
So, what's interesting about this, I agree with everything you say. I want to go back to that piece, and there's some other things we want to get to, but this is a super interesting point that you made around, it is a concern, right? You don't want somebody who's maybe predisposed to addictive behavior to have easier access to money, sort of as an objective thing that could fuel their addiction, right? Whether it be gambling or something else. But what's interesting about that is, I mean, a lot of people, you look at wait staff, they get paid in tips, cash at the end of every day, I mean, so this already exists. B, there's and I think it comes from a good place, a well-meaning place, but there's sort of a postulated sort of paternal instinct that's at play there. If you're the employer somehow, I think it's a misunderstanding of the relationship between the employer and the employee, right? Where the employee kind of assumes that, well, it's my responsibility to make sure that my employee does not engage in, that comes from a good place, but it's not, that's not really defensible logically at the core. Yeah.
We tackle this. So my sentiment of what I'm hearing in the different forums and chats about those topics, which they're starting to be predominant, not that it's today kind of it's something that is becoming very, very hot, but it's not in the mouth of everybody yet. It's very defensive. The attitude I think the employers are taking are very, very defensive. Like, I don't want to be responsible of, right? I want to feel bad because of whatever happens. Well, our approach is double. So first of all, we are preventive, meaning we can, the employer, our customer, in this case, the employer, can set up rules. How many times can you withdraw a month or a week? What is the amount? What's the maximum amount per withdrawal, or the maximum amount in total during the cycle? We can also add controls about certain moments in the day. So, like, I don't allow you to do withdrawals between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. or not on Saturday night or Sunday night. Or, we all this technology enables you to help you out. That's what we call prevention. Then the good news is that, well, we can monitor. We can monitor, and on top of this, by the way, we can even block direct transactions done to certain, certain merchants, like could be online gambling or casinos or other sort of, let's say, not appropriate content. Right. So all this is something that we can help the employer to be preventive for that employee. We recommend as an approach to first observe and then to act.
Mhm.
right? I mean, you don't want to, I mean, in this society of freedom, the very last thing you want is to start getting something that already that person believes should have access to and doesn't have, right? So
Mhm.
we need to be also very tactful here. And then the other thing is the positive education,
Mhm.
right? We have been from day one, and it's been a lot of emphasis from our early adopters on how valuable and important it is to provide a positive perspective of well-being to the person, to the
Mhm.
entire human being that is consuming this. So we started with financial well-being, but I mean, it was sort of, I know it sounds a ridiculous question, but we ask ourselves, well, what's the point? I'm making you feel better about your financials because I'm explaining you ways to save better your money using real cases and your own data, right? That I can do. And you have a headache, right? So
Yeah.
maybe we need to do something, right? To make sure you having a better day overall, right?
Mhm.
Not only from a financial perspective, even though that was the beginning. So we have invested a lot of money on, linking. We have our own content, but also we can link content to the well-being programs that a lot of companies are putting in place, to make sure their employees become happier, more loyal, and more productive.
Mhm.
If you think of, I'm going to give you a very quick example.
Mhm.
So one of our first customers is Ralph Lauren. No, and I remember we were describing this case with them,
Yeah.
which is if I mean, it could be a father or a mother, but I used to, just to repeat the example, was a mother. I'm a mother of a 10-year-old kid, and it's Friday. I work on a Ralph Lauren shop,
Mhm.
right? I'm the person that is selling the dresses to the people that comes into the stores. Then I'm closing the day and I'm working tomorrow, Saturday morning.
Mhm.
And on my way to the school, I'm just thinking, it was not a bad day about tomorrow. What am I going to do? Can I extend my night and sort of have a family good time, or do I need to wake up too early? Or, normally you go driving and thinking stuff, right? That's my
Yeah.
thing. When you get to school, you pick up your kid and your kid is missing 2 teeth. So
Mhm.
the first thing you do that Friday afternoon is go to the dentist, right? And we know the dentist is painful double time. So one because
Yeah.
it hurts, and the other one because it's very expensive,
Yeah.
right? Well, nothing against the dentist, by the way,
But yeah, you're right.
but it's a reality. I mean, we all suffer from this. So this mom today, if you might not have the money, it needs to ask the money to someone.
Mhm.
Payday Loan, the company, a friend, a cousin, a mom, whatever, right? Plus the embarrassing of, all this nervousness of asking how much this will cost me, the angry mindset that comes to you on, son, please don't do this again. How come you broke your tutu? All these sort of things happening. Could you imagine what is the reaction of this person? Saturday, 11 a.m., I'm in the store, someone comes in to buy a dress.
Oh,
What are your chances to sell a dress? None. Absolutely none. No, my mind is somewhere else,
yeah.
right? So if you think of this in terms of cost of opportunity, the retention,
Mhm.
the productivity, the improving absenteeism that we are seeing on the customers that are using this, and also the industry as well that is kind of developing it, it's absolutely unprecedented. The cost of the benefit from an employer perspective, although we are the only ones offering to the employer more than directly to the employee versus the value that this is bringing to the company is absolutely unprecedented compared to any other benefit.
Absolutely correct. I love that example, by the way. And while CloudPay now is for any type of worker, let's focus on let's just put a fine point on, the typical floor associate at a retailer, right? They have very stressful sort of odd hours in retail, so everybody says have
Yeah.
a great weekend, and retail workers are like, yeah, okay, because they
Would be for you, not for me.
yeah, exactly. I am actually careful not to say have a good weekend to retail workers, even though my instinct is just to say that nice thing, but I realize that it's not necessarily something that they're going to be enjoying. That person, you're absolutely right. That person is not going to be in a frame of mind to be anywhere near as effective as possible to help sell that dress. And that's what the employer needs from that person. It goes back to this concept that I think first came out in Harvard Business Review many years ago, the service profit chain. It's this idea, not an idea, it's been shown through research. I can't cite it right now, but there's a bunch of it out there, that the more engaged and happier and satisfied in their work and lives, work-life balance that your retailers and floor associates are, the happier the customers will be. Because the floor associates will be more engaging with the customers, and so it leads to repeat business. It's just a nice cycle there. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I want to just shift gears here for a second, because there's something very interesting about CloudPay now, in terms of how where CloudPay is releasing this, and it's everywhere, worldwide. The on-demand pay has been very, has been growing, and is strong growth in the US specifically, which is great. I'm sure you have a compelling rationale for going global with this. What is that? What kind of compelled CloudPay to go to release, to target the entire world with CloudPay now?
Indeed. So we're very fortunate to be the first one that we offer in this globally. And the rationale behind why we put extra effort and maybe not be the first ones coming out into the market to offer any wages was because we wanted to do this globally, mainly for two reasons. The first one is, well, we believe this should be a benefit, as I told you before, from the employer to the employee. It doesn't make much sense that you, as an individual, you paying to have access to your own stuff. Like, you will not probably accept this in any other good, right? It's like, oh, can I have my phone? Yeah, don't worry, I'll pay you $5 for that. Like, what? That doesn't sound right. And very linked to this also is that our target market as a global payroll company are multinational companies. For us, it's hard to imagine something that is so touchy, so personal to the individual, to the employee, that a company offers this as a benefit in the US and not in 20 other countries in the world. That you have sort of creating class A and class B employees, sort of speak. I mean, I was reading an article saying it's kind of ironical that the country that is the fastest to adopt this, the one with more pay loan stores per square foot or per habitant and so on, is the US, which is the richest country in the world, or the second richest country in the world. So what about those other places like South America or Mexico or Southeast Asia, Africa? I mean, what we have developed goes beyond just in wages. We can make money available for you on your smartphone. So I don't know if you are aware, but I was talking to some people in South Africa, and one of the biggest issues they have in the country to pay employees is that most of the employees might not be able to have a bank account, mainly for two reasons. One of them, I think, is going to be recurring because of the pandemic, which is people is living outside of the urban or the centric parts of the cities, and it's going suburban. It's cheaper, it's more peaceful, and it's better quality of life. So then you're going to be farther from banks. And this all because they don't fulfill the client profile requirements that that institution might require. And not having a bank account, it means I need to pay them on cash. And I cannot pay them on cash because they will be stolen or they will be robbed before they go home, because it's tremendously insecure. So when we told them that we could do, sort of pay to phone, if I might say, solution for them. That was a game changer for them, and say, well, you cannot imagine what this can do for the country. No, so there are a lot of user cases beyond what the regular surface might illustrate. One of our customers was about to pay late their employees, was supposed to be paid on Friday, and money will not arrive until Tuesday. Well, we use CloudPay now to allow those employees to have access to their own wages during the weekend. So no one was not having no money during the weekend, right? So, I mean, there's many applications that can dramatically change the perception your employees have of your own brand. So we couldn't imagine that this could be turned negative, no? I mean, if I am XYZ company and I'm in 20 countries and I know in my country, I need a service like this, like 70% of the world. And I see that, oh, they're offering this in the US and I'm in Italy and I don't have it.
Yeah.
I mean, my perception of my brand is worse than what it was before I knew that.
Yeah.
So what is supposed to be having a positive impact might end up being a negative impact.
Yeah. Well, I can see that. You know, what's interesting too is that I think that the background, well, not so much the background, but the pandemic for the past year and a half plus, I think we're seeing a lot of sort of shifts in logistics when it comes to employment. A lot of folks are so I'll give an example, and I'll confess I don't know how much this is actually happening, but I imagine it is happening. You might have a high-level executive who lives in Australia, right? Or would like to visit, has family in Australia, and but is working in the United States, being paid in the United States, right? And so, but if they go to Australia, they have to quarantine. And then they can't leave. And there's all these, I'm just using it as an example, all these stipulations around what they can do. And so they might decide, you know what, I just want to work remotely from down under. And so I need to be paid, via your global payroll system, my employer, as an Australian person, right? And maybe a high-level executive might not need CloudPay now, like the on-demand pay, but imagine it's not just high-level executives. There's probably other folks that are making around $150,000 USD a year who are in that same situation and would need that capability. So that's another trend that I don't see going away, even with the
Oh, no. And in fact, it is true that I'm going to use my own example. I've been obviously using wage access for obvious reasons, but I will say I don't need it for my day-to-day. But you know what? I have a stock of money in the bank account because it's what I used to be living during the month. And normally, especially my wife, who is the one driving the accounting home, thanks God, it's sort of, I know sometimes I feel it's exaggerated because that's not our normal expenditure in a month. But what if I could use my phone, right, to pay out of my own wages any single time I need? So I'm living out of what I'm earning. I could use that money to do investments. I could use this money to improve my financial income at home, or to do other stuff, or to give it to a charity, or whatever anyone wants to do with it. Well, today, even you don't need it, meaning, I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. Well, but that's, I feel bad because these people means it's living from savings, and your savings are not supposed to be there for you to use it on your day-to-day basis, right? Your savings are there for, backup, a safety net, or for investment, wherever you might want to use them. So when I was telling you before that I'm 100% convinced that this is changing the behavior on how people is spending money and how people is going to be saving money, no matter what is your economical or social condition. I have no doubt about it. It will change the way you manage it. Not to say, to talk about the millennials and the generations that are coming now, which everything needs to be instant, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be hard for them to understand the rationale of what do I need to work 30 days to get paid? Okay, what I cannot pay today.
Exactly. What is that all about? Right. Yeah.
I know, when I go buy something, I need to pay today.
Yeah, I can imagine millennials, yeah, that's and definitely Zoomers, Generation Z. They're, what
Yeah.
is this? I have to wait 30 days for my pay stuff. That doesn't make any sense. What we're talking about, and this kind of puts a fine point on it. And I'm glad you mentioned this. This is really a revolution, and this is just a revolution in the dynamics of pay. This isn't about, I mean, it is about giving people who need it more immediate access to their pay, but that's just a very nice byproduct of the main thrust here, and that is a revolution in the dynamics and logistics of pay, which is inevitable. We're inexorably marching toward that. Ernst & Young, I think, came out with a market cap recently of $1 trillion for on-demand, for earned wage access. Do you have any thoughts about that? I mean, that's pretty huge. 1 trillion. That's pretty huge. Although $1 trillion isn't what it used to be, I guess, but it's still a lot. What are your thoughts around that? I mean, that's big.
Yeah, I mean, it is true also that that's sort of the data that I have, that is $1 trillion any given day of earned wages sitting somewhere. This is why I believe this is going to be a revolution that is absolutely unstoppable. You have from one side the force of the individual who needs it, right? We say 70% of people needs it, and on the other side, you have the forces of the macroeconomy saying, well, what the hell are we doing with $1 trillion a day that are not being moved, spent, or invest, right? So, and that will create sort of a perfect storm to try to normalize this, because that means there is more acquisition power for globally, right, for the people. With this, it comes a major ability to spend money or to save money. And you are resolving also the issue of the timeliness that we were talking before, versus when I pay versus when I get my money in. So not only there is more money in play into the macroeconomy, but also you move it more often, right? It's much more number of transactions, which this drives the macroeconomy factors to go higher, which is normally what governments and big companies are looking for. So the fact that all this data is being revealed is bringing up a lot of people questions and saying, well, I mean, who can grab those? I mean, no, between you and me, who could grab this $1 trillion that is sitting out there, right? I mean, I definitely would like to have a piece of that. So, it's going to be a lot of interest on moving this forward, and I think will create the virality that the system needs. No, it is true that today this is being positioned, unfortunate, and I think erroneously, it's being positioned as a help for people that has low incomes. And I am preaching into the prospects and customers that I'm talking to, and hopefully I can do it today to a broader audience, that there are amazing opportunities in the thunderstorms, and this is one of them. If you as a company can look at this strategically, it might give you an incredible competitive advantage in the war for talent, in the retention and productivity against your competition. The fact that you embrace that opportunity, make it as a benefit, and ensure that this is reflected to improve the awareness and the sympathy towards your brand and your culture. And as you said, it is proven, it's scientific that happy employees make happy customers, and happy customers makes a better balance sheet. So it is sort of an ABC, very simple process, but it will be for the braves that are taking the first steps that I would take the most of the advantages that this might bring.
Yeah, I completely, and I would say just that this is looking at earned wage access as and more holistically as being a revolutionary sort of next step in the relationship between employer and employee when it comes to pay, how pay is processed and when it's processed and how easily it's processed, rather than just a benefit for, even though it is a great benefit for folks who need the money now. Looking at it more broadly, I mean, that's sort of that's at the vanguard of, this the outer edge is the vanguard of looking at pay as more than just a number that goes into the GL.
Let me put you this the other way around. Why are we doing payroll? Is to pay.
Yeah.
So if we solve the pay issue, right? If I pay you every day, why do I need to do payroll weekly or bi-weekly or even monthly? I mean, yeah, I have some statutory regulations that I need to fulfill, right? That I need to be compliant with, but they're not monthly. On the countries you do payroll monthly, normally you have 45 days or 50 days to report back to Social Security, to the tax authorities, to the different, departments of the government that might need data out of the employer or the employee. Could you imagine today where you do payroll? Let's imagine it's monthly, because I think it's easier and more illustrative, but it absolutely applies to any other frequency. So if I do 30 days a month, normally I have a cutoff by the 15th. So that means in my best chances, I'm only calculating 10 to 12 labor days out of 22. So that means I'm paying you a full month, knowing data of half a month. Could you imagine we can change this to say, you know what? I'm going to calculate payroll on the 15th of the next month. So I'm calculating the entire month. It's a much easier process, less errors, much less stressful, by the way, and much more accurate. And for the employee, it's a no problem, because in the meantime, I'm having access to the money, which is what I need. I don't care if you need to do payroll or not. What I want is my money. Yeah.
I think we're in the point at, and I'm looking at the time here. I think we're at the point with payroll that the technology, the capability of technology is just, we're at the point where we can really start just making it, just setting, there's a term here in the US, set it and forget it. It's almost, we're moving toward that, and maybe set it, but don't forget it, obviously, because we don't want to forget it. But we could theoretically, if we wanted to, and because we can forget it, now we can actually focus more on it from a far more strategic standpoint. What's next for CloudPay? I mean, you've released CloudPay now. What are some of the things on the horizon that you're able to share?
That's a tricky question. So yeah, we're working on a couple of, I think, incredible things as well. Maybe not as visual as CloudPay now, which is an app that you can touch and see and feel and breathe, sort of. But so we are working on, now we have the capability to pay globally. Now we are looking on ways on how we can pay, as we say, everyone, anywhere, anytime. And we want to do this instantly. So today, for any multinational company to pay an employee abroad that is not in the headquarters, let me say, normally it takes between 3 to 5 days. And that's the time the money takes to go from point A to point B. Well, we are working on, we're already testing and very successfully with some customers, where we can do this in any country for almost 50 different currencies, and we do it in 20 seconds.
Wow.
So that means it's instant, right? I mean, the time that you say, and that applies to any wages. If you look today of the providers that are providing, better say probably is pay on demand rather than in wages, because there are some connotations of where the money comes in and they charging the employee, for instance, as well, and so on. But never mind, that's not relevant at this stage. You know, it takes you 3 days. Then if you want it within 2 days, you pay a fee, and if you want it in the same day, you pay another fee. Well, imagine we can do this and say to someone that is in, I don't know, I think exotic country like Sri Lanka, right? And say, hey, I'm an employee of, we have one customer with a large population in Sri Lanka. So, you know, of that company, company A, I'm going to ask for my end wages. By the time I click confirm and I go to the screen of what's the status of my transaction, you know, the money might be already in my card or in my phone. And this, it can happen the same when I want to send it to mom. So this revolutionizes as well and changes what we know today as remittance. Right? When I can send money to the family in a different currency abroad, and it's instant. So then you can start imagining on, you know, gift cards sent as money instantly and collected in your phone and ready to be consumed. You can think of a bunch of friends that want to do something collectively, and that just basically, you know, all pulling money into one single place, so then they can just expend it without the need of, you know, taking notes of who paid what and make all the crazy calculations we all do when we do those sort of group trips. And well, all this can disappear with the technology that we are building behind the scenes, with the collaboration of Visa, no, as one of our partners here. So I think the conjunction of both things, if we can position it correctly as well, and provide the right message and make something that behind the scenes it is complex, make it very easy to consume. As I told you before, I think we're changing the payroll world forever.
Oh yeah.
And also the way people is transactioning with money. No, I don't know if this has happened to you, and I promise that with this I'll be quiet. You know, I realized the other day that it's maybe 6 months that I haven't touched a paper bill.
Oh right.
That I don't go with coins in my pockets.
Right.
That the only thing I'm using is plastic, no, or contactless, better say.
Oh, I am definitely the same way, you know, unless I'm planning to go through some tolls on the highway, which I don't get on the highway too much, and I don't have one of those transponders in my car. Oh gosh, I got to go to the ATM, have a, you know, just a little bit of cash on me so I can
something
pay.
small, right? And it's kind of embarrassing. You need to pay, you know, for that small amount with the credit card.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
This,
money is
yeah. This has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much, Josep, for joining us. Yeah, great stuff. Changing payroll forever. I think that's a great phrase to end this on. This definitely looking forward to the future of payroll. It's looking very bright.
I'm definitely going to keep you posted. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Joseph. Bye-bye.